You're not going to believe this. I was having unbelievable technical difficulties, and now I'm here. I've been sitting here thinking I was live, and I wasn't live. Please forgive me. Okay, let's get started. Everybody still with me? Are we good? I'm such a noob. Okay, good. I'm going to run through these again. Sorry for the late start. Sorry for wasting 23 minutes of your time. Somebody had asked, who was that? There was a question about Mark Vincenti. He found out that NXIVM drew him in because of his movie. Do I think Scientology drew me in because of your movie credits? The answer to that is no. I don't think any of them knew my work. They knew my reputation. They needed a commercial director. And so, they tapped me for that. But I mean, they brought me in because of my career and not because of my credits. Though I must say, I really enjoyed Mark's film, and we all watched it. Yeah, again, sorry about the delay. Things are just crazy. So we all watched Mark's film at Gold, and we really liked it. What the bleep, whatever the thing was called, if any of you know, put it in the chat. It was such a good film about presenting an idea, like an idea, an abstract idea, like about how the universe works. Jeff wanted to know if my YouTube channel is going to be strictly for Church Scientology stuff, and the answer is I'm kind of hoping to add some other kinds of content in the future. I've always had a fantasy about being a film critic, so I may do some of that. I think we went over that last night, my relationship with auditing, which was, it was, it changed over time. And for most of the time I was in Scientology, I hated auditing. It's just, I thought it was ridiculous. And if I wouldn't have been so trapped in there, I would have just bailed. And why is it so hard to leave the base? Isn't it kidnapping? Well, kidnapping is defined as when somebody takes your body without your permission and moves it, or restrains you and keeps you from moving your body. So by that definition, what they do with the staff at Gold is very much kidnapping, except if you ask the staff, they're not going to say it's kidnapping. They're going to say it's something else. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so, okay, next. What are David Miscavige's houses like? He is personally very rich, or does he live on bases, doesn't have any private houses? Okay, yeah, he has a lot of money, and money isn't, the church pays all of his expenses. He wears super expensive tailored suits. He has these like custom cufflinks made out of platinum that have diamond encrusted, and they have Scientology logos on them, and handmade shoes. And, he drives, brand new big sedan BMWs and flies in private jets. I mean, the guy he totally lives like a rock star. He has houses wherever he works, Florida, LA, I think he's got at least 2 places he lives, obviously in England. And so, yeah, they're nice. I've been to some of them. They're really nice. Okay, the biggest SP question is DM running Gold Base without him being there, and do the people at Gold Base know that he's not coming back? Yes, he's running it, not being there. He's got a staff up there. He's got an office up there. And I think the second part of your question, the gold base staff is living in some kind of fantasy where they probably think at some point he's going to come back. But I mean, he told me personally that when he left there in 2013 that he was never coming back because so many people at the base effed him over. Okay, Steve, if you're around, or if you see this later, like she worked for Goebbels, the propaganda minister, and he's the one she was rumored to be having an affair with. That's part of the Leni Riefenstahl conversation we were having last night. How did I keep a straight face? Sometimes, Mitch, some stuff is so absurd. It wasn't so much keeping a straight face from laughter, but it was keeping the cringe from sneaking out, because a lot of stuff was so cringeworthy, like at the opening of SMP when Miscavige got up there and announced that Scientology was the coolest religion in the world. That was so cringeworthy, I couldn't believe it. And he used to invite like other religious leaders to the openings. I could imagine, a rabbi, a minister, and a priest being there and hearing him announce that Scientology was the coolest religion. I can't imagine how tone deaf you could be. Okay, so let me see. Let me go on here. God, I can't believe I anyway, whatever. We'll deal with it later. Just hang with me. Someday I'm going to be so good at this. I'll be almost as good as, well, I don't want to mention. Okay. Okay. Oh, and I'm not sure if you heard me say this before, but when you want to ask a question, if you want, you can just do this. Just do 3 question marks. It's shorter, faster than writing the word question. Okay, so let me get down to the new comments. See if we've got any questions here. Okay, cool. Okay. I can see we're rolling along now. That's really good. Okay. Real quick, before I go on, remember this from last night? Remember this? I gathered some really interesting information, analytics that you can't get from YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, I know I asked you to do this last time, but there might be some new people and maybe you didn't do it. But if everybody could just put in here, just put what you identify as first gen, born in, never in, watchers. And here was the results of the people who identified last night. It's a very small group, very small cohort. I didn't get a lot of numbers to make this ballot, but I'm kind of guessing under any circumstances that this is what it's going to look like. And the never-ends are just like explosively such a huge group. And if I was still working for the church and I was doing PR, advertising, whatever, coming up with campaigns, and I saw this, I would be really worried, because that never-end number, that is like an energized and very focused general public. This is like it's like the general public is just completely curious. Remember their campaign, Curious? Yeah, they're curious to know all of this horrific stuff that Scientology did. And then somebody had a question. Hey, Clearwater Chad, thank you for that. What the bleep do we know? Yeah, I really like that film. Mark Vicente was actually very well known. I should send him a message and tell him that. He was very well known at Gold, because that was one of the films that we looked at in terms of an example of how we might communicate our own ideas, because we did a lot of that. I'll tell you, I just remembered this. You get a kick out of this. So you all know what a devil Alex Gibney is to the Church of Scientology, right? I mean, I don't have to go into detail and explain that. But before he made that documentary, some years before, when I was putting the team together and envisioning the documentaries for the Industry of Death Museum, I was gathering up different films that I thought we should look at, that I thought were examples of really good documentaries. And Gibney's The Smartest Guys in the Room, which was Oscar nominated, had just been out for a couple of years then. So I brought that up to Gold. And my team, the writers and other directors, we studied that film, and we had a ton of respect for Alex Gibney. We thought he was a great documentarian, and that film was one of our, what Hubbard referred to as Art Series 8. He wrote these bulletins about art, and one was the 8th in the series. And Art Series 8 basically says that a professional looks at the work of other professionals and looks at how they did it so that he can learn more about his own stuff. So Alex Gibney, so you can imagine then when Going Clear came out, we were like, oh, we're supposed to hate him now. Did everybody get the memo? Memo says hate Alex Gibney. Someday I need to tell that story to Alex Gibney in person. I hope to meet him, because I do have a lot of respect for him. But yeah, that's funny, it's just like, oh, hey, thanks. You got me added to the Discord server. Thanks. Being a kind of ex-gamer, I'm not doing it so much anymore. I'm very familiar with Discords because I believe they grew out of the gaming world, as did everything else. Okay, we're going to just keep moving down. Somebody asked about the title of my book. So here you go. It's, how do you back these things up? Oh, there you go. Another little self-serving message here. So there you go. Scientology, the big lie, how I made an evil cult look good. I did that ad. I hope I'm not repeating myself, because I might have said this when I thought I was live. I did that ad very much patterned after a Dynetics ad, except it's only about 15 seconds long, because if I ever decided to use it as a paid ad on YouTube, they have a 15-second limit. But I did it with the same palette, the same rhythm, the same impact cut on the book of the explosion. And then I had Jeff Levin do the music. I called Jeff up and I asked him if he had the original tracks for the Dianetics ad. He did, but he said, we'll get sued if we use it because I gave the publishing to the church. He said, but let me write you something sideways to that so we don't get sued. So I know that's going to piss some people off when they see that and hear that. Anyway, a little bit of inside dope. Hey, okay, good. I'm addicted to chocolate, and currently a couple of shows on Netflix. But yeah, it's hey, this is a good addiction to have. I've been addicted to a few nasty things, but I don't know if you guys know what is his name? Oh, he's a writer. Oh God, I don't know why I can't think of his name. Nicholas Taleb. He wrote a book called The Black Swan, and nothing to do with the movie. It's a nonfiction book, and in that book, he said the 3 greatest addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly paycheck. I'm happy to say I've been addicted to all 3. Okay, but please carry on being addicted to these channels, because we're going to keep feeding it, and it's basically free. Okay, I'm so enjoying seeing your text. You guys interacting with each other is great. And know that I love you too. Aw. I mean, it's weird because this is like, there's nobody here, right? I mean, sitting in a room all by myself, hoping that my dog doesn't come take a dump on my foot. But that's the weird part about it, because I've spoken in front of big crowds. I've done presentations. I did once at the last minute have to speak early in my career. I was probably 28 years old, 29. I had to speak in front of the Dallas Art Directors Club. And at the last minute, I got my boss, who I worked for, said, "You're going to go down." And he was the closing presentation for and that's a very noted art directors club, at the one in Dallas. And the person who had closed the previous season, was a very famous guy named Saul Bass, who like designed the credits for West Side Story and Psycho and like all kinds of famous films. And so my boss just decided to bail out, and he was a really famous guy in that design film world. So he said, "Why don't you go do it?" I was like, "Oh God." So I sat there. I learned all the material I was supposed to present. And somebody very nicely put a 7-Up on the podium so I'd have something to drink. And I said hello, and I went to reach for the 7-Up, and it spilled it, and I was incredibly embarrassed. What else do we got here? Thank you for that, Clearwater Chad. Yeah, come on. I'm assembling this information. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Another never end. Another never end. Yeah, this is bad news for Scientology that there's so many people. Yeah. Okay. So you want to talk about that? Somebody, I'm sorry. Oh, Puffin sent me a text, and I watched the Mark Vicente piece about Oblivion. He has a very good analysis about how the Tom Cruise character is actually the corollary of a brainwashed cult member who doesn't realize that the bad guys are the good guys and the good guys are the bad guys. And he made a really astute observation about this, but unfortunately, I don't like that film. And having nothing to do with Tom, Scientology, whatever, films from 2011, I was in and friendly with Tom. I mean, I guess it was 2004 when he did War of the Worlds. I got invited to go spend 4 days on the set, hang out on the set, and observe. It was like a favor he was doing to Dave for Gold. He said, "Hey, why don't you have somebody from Gold like Mitch come down and watch us shoot?" So, I was kind of friendly with the guy. It's like I had nothing against him, but I really didn't like Oblivion at all. I liked the one about Tomorrow. What was it called? The one with Emily Blunt. Now somebody's going to put it in the chat. That film I liked a lot, but Oblivion, I thought it was a really, it had that scene where he wrestled with himself, which I thought I put a comment on Mark's channel on the video. I thought that scene with Tom Cruise wrestling with himself was like accidentally like homoerotic and really narcissistic, like seeing him struggle with himself. It was like we were seeing Tom Cruise's inner battle being played out on the set in a movie as he fought with himself. I can never get past that scene. And some of the other sort of misplaced tropes. I think the only thing that makes that film worth watching is Elia Kulienko and Andrea Riseborough, who sort of stole the film from Tom Cruise with their performances. But Mark really likes the film. He just raved about it, but I just don't like it. So I can't really I'm not gonna. Somebody suggested that maybe me and or Aaron do like reaction videos to it, but I can't do that to a film that I don't like. But I really respect Mark's take on it. You guys should go watch it. It's interesting. Oh, hey Alex. Hi. How you doing, man? Yeah, I played a lot of Overwatch. I mean, I was like, I first sort of got on with Halo back in the early days on the Mac, and then Xboxed it and was a big Halo fan, and played with my kids when they were younger. And then I played some Call of Duty, and then I kind of didn't. I really fell out with Call of Duty because it's just I don't like. I want to kill aliens. I don't want to kill real people, especially if they're speaking like Spanish. It's just really tasteless, I think. Really bothered me. But and then I got into Overwatch, which I think is a perfect game. I never got into the other games. I sort of just stuck with that one because, maybe when you're older, your brain's a little less plastic or something. But I still play occasionally. I really like playing. Alex, if you play Overwatch, we could go online together and play. It's pretty easy. I've played with a lot of people in Britain. Oh, thanks, Alex. It was inspired by as I said, the Dianetics ad. So that's the first thing I put on YouTube because I really sort of started YouTubing to promote my book, but then it's become much bigger than that, which it should be. John Debonadette. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so I'll just go with the butchered version. How do folks in the bubble interpret Mission Earth, satire, smut, religion? I don't know. I tried to read Mission Earth. I think I got through the first book. It's such a potboiler. It's such a badly written book. And it has so much sick stuff in it. I think they kind of get off on it, because I think it's sort of the allowable smut because Hubbard wrote it, so they can kind of get off on it without getting in trouble. So I think of those three things. They see it a little bit of satire. They see it as smut because I've talked to them about it. And they don't see it as religion. Definitely they don't. But, they see it as, a genius piece of work that was authored by the founder of the religion. It's a horrible book. And then they got this guy, Jethro Heller, who's the hero, who's like this lily white savior. And then, the way they cast like trans people, it's just like, oh, I don't even want to think about it. It's really horrible. I hope that answers your question. At least you have my opinion on it. Thanks, Chad. You rock. Is DM gonna stick the PIs on ya? I don't know. I kind of hope he does. I think that would be fun. Plus, as Aaron often points out, it's a great source of content. I kind of don't know. I mean, they certainly haven't done anything yet that I know of. I was a little freaked out earlier. I was having all these technical problems because there is a person from Gold that I used to work with who's one of their IT experts, although I don't consider her that IT intelligent because she's self-taught. But she's been to my house and logged into my system. So I don't know what kind of, I've changed my passwords and done all that kind of stuff. But, they could be on the street hacking my freaking Wi-Fi. So I don't. But I'm going to say it again, the famous Chris Christopherson song, Me and Bobby McGee, he says, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. So I don't really have a lot to lose. So it's like, what are they going to do? Plus, I still do have information, which is in my book, which I haven't talked about because I think it's kind of an insurance policy. I think I said that last night. So, so let me see, what else do we have? Yeah, I'm probably marked for death, and maybe I'm like Wile E. Coyote, in one of those Roadrunner cartoons, and he's sitting there all casually thinking everything's wonderful, but there's a safe, being just got dropped on his head. So maybe I need to look up and see if there's a safe falling. Yeah, Alex, we should do a gaming stream together. That would be really fun. we could sort of, I don't know, I'm sure we could figure out a way to make it Scientology centric. So look for that in the future, folks. Tassie Devil. Have you thought about sleep streaming to get your hours up? Do you know what that is? Yeah, I understand what that is now. So I put something up, like just some open-ended nothing stream, and then everybody logs in, and then they go to sleep, and so then I get all these that. Yeah, send me a little bit further instructions on that. It sounds like gaming the system, and I don't want to. You got to once you've achieved the metrics for monetization, you have to go through a review process, which takes about a month. And I don't know if they can detect that stuff or whatever. So I'm a little weary, but if anybody has, that it might violate best practices in such a way that they're like, I don't know. Yeah, this is a fact. The House of Cards is falling. No, they're absolutely, it's not sustainable. I mean, they can last for 100 years with the money they have, but they can't keep going the way that they're going. It's just like, there's no way. This is why I'm so curious about who the hell joined Scientology in the 2000s. Hey, Alex, you joined in the 2000s, and you're, bright and not gullible. And this is a thing I was trying to figure out. It's a little research project I'm doing. Well, I grabbed the wrong one there, but you're very welcome. Yeah, I got me some friends at OSA. I mean, I know a lot of people there pretty well, especially a sec checker or two. Yeah, it's Chris Christopherson is such a genius. Yep, busted. There it is, busted flat in Baton Rouge. We should all just start singing. Yeah, Janis Joplin covered the song, but it's written by Chris Christopherson. His version is amazing. Yeah, this is exactly right. This is exactly correct. Just record them and make videos about them if you get PI'd. I like it that PI is now a verb. I got PI'd. I like that. Bobby thumbed Diesel down. We're going to get all the lyrics by the end of the show. Oh yeah, come on. Feeling near as faded as my jeans. And Dylan got the Pulitzer Prize as an author. Geez, what about Chris Christopherson? He was a Rhodes Scholar. A lot of people don't know that. The guy is so smart and a good actor. Just before it rained. Yeah. Hey, well, I'm going to try to live up to your good opinion. Thank you for your good opinion. I'll try to live up to it. Oh my God. That is a quote from one of the tech films that I directed that Hubbard wrote. The one that Jason Bigay was in about the character who drugged and raped his partner's girlfriend. The ship's chaplain, who's an auditor on the spaceship, takes the Jason Bigay character into session, and the Jason Bigay character, the spaceman, whatever, the shipwreck guy, he says, he's trying to butter up his auditor. So he says, when I laid eyes on you, I thought, there's a really honest man, blah, 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 blah. And it's obvious that he's just buttering up because he's trying to get away with something. And the auditor looks at him. One of my favorite quotes from a tech film. he looks at him and he says, "Thank you for your good opinion. I'll try and live up to it." So, and you can all use it's a great anyway. So thank you for your, but I mean that sincerely. Thank you very much. This is funny. Dawn, the never end, didn't like the people with the clipboards when she was 17. Oh, at Dawn. I got it. Tassie Devil at Dawn. So I'm assuming the people with the clipboards were like the surveyors on the street in Scientology. Yeah, I remember when Janice died. That was, she died near my home, not far from where I live. She died in the Landmark Hotel on Fountain Avenue, Franklin Avenue, which is about maybe a mile from Celebrity Center. And I was visiting a friend who was staying at the Landmark, who said that she believed it was the room where Janice died. So I saw her in person. I'm that old. I saw her twice, once at San Jose State College and another time at the Winterland or Avalon Ballroom in San Francisco. But yeah, she was pretty amazing. I saw her with the Big Brother and the holding company. I don't know. I had a text exchange with Claire the other day, and we went over it, and she said Mark's going to be free soon, and then we'll do it because that could be a lot of fun. Because Mark was definitely one of the, in all of the years I was there, he was one of the more interesting, fun people that I worked with. Yeah, Marilyn, this could actually be true. I mean, I assume you're talking about the 2000s, like 2000 to 2009. And I thought of my generation as the idealistic ones, but that could be a reoccurring thing that then comes back every 30 years. And they could be the idealistic ones in search of a community age of isolation, because that was the early days of the internet and people were definitely becoming disconnected. And the disconnection is the worst thing that can happen to you. I don't mean the kind, it's the reason why Scientology disconnection is so bad. When I was working on the Narconon program, the Scientology drug rehab program, I did a marketing campaign for them, and I did a bunch of research. And I found nothing that L. Ron Hubbard ever wrote that could be in any way helpful for marketing Narconon. So I looked in a lot of places, and one of the things I came up with was a brilliant book written by a journalist who had a brother who was a heroin addict. He led me down this path, and he proved that, I think the guy did a TED talk on this. He surmised that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. Because when you begin to lose your connections, is when the ground beneath you becomes very unstable. And it's when you then fall into something like addiction. So, that idea of isolation, which is the idea of being disconnected, is very, you might really be right, Marilyn. I'm going to think about that. You might have really hit on it, because it didn't occur to me that these sort of paradigms that I put in this thing here, that they could be repetitive, that, the idealists could then reappear in the 2000s. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm kind of nerdy about this shit. So just kind of forgive me. I guess I can make anything into like a nerdy subject. Yeah, there you go. Amen. Yeah. Oh, I'm assuming you're Tassie. I'm assuming you're asking about the film that I referenced earlier, the one that Jason Begay was in, the first version of it. No, that's like a technical training film. That film is, it's not even on that many courses, so not even that many people see it. But anybody who gets up to what's called a grad 5 auditor, which would be a lot of the auditors in the world, they're going to see that film and they're going to be indoctrinated into this idea that Scientology auditing is so powerful that it could take a person who would sink to the level of drugging and raping someone and fix them. And as we've seen in with the Danny Masterson case, that's not the case at all. Far from it. But yeah, you're not going to see that film, not unless, I mean, those films are locked down in like, a Mission Impossible style hard drives. Like if you open one up, they just burst into flames. They're so locked down. They're in the orgs, but even the people in the orgs don't have access to the actual files because of the encryption keys are so intense. But there are people at Gold and there are people at what's called the dissemination center where they distribute that stuff that do have access to the files and could walk out with them. And if they do that, I'm going to be very happy. Hold on. Yeah, I thought I was. Somebody mentioned, please ask the question. I think I am asking them. Yeah, if absolutely, I can do that. If I forget, I'm sorry. Just keep bugging me to do it, and I will absolutely do it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Liz. I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of hers. I wrote her, I think, on TikTok. I told her I'm a big fan, so she probably thinks I'm some creepy old pervy dude who's like stalking her, but that's absolutely not the case. No, I'm just a fan of her style, the way she has rolled out her story, and I have a lot of empathy for her. And the other night, she actually expressed empathy. I don't know that I want to get into this, but I think it's too late. She expressed empathy. They were talking about, she was on somebody's channel, and I think she was with Aaron and somebody else, and she talked about having empathy for Denny Masterson. And this was, this is a really unpopular thing to say, but I so got what she was talking about because her empathy isn't for Danny Masterson. It's empathy for the human condition, that humans can become so lost and so abused and so hurt that they could end up in that kind of shape. So I don't like Danny Masterson. I knew Danny Masterson. I worked with him when he was 15, and I ran into him all the time. And I'm certainly not. I'm not polling for empathy for him, but if Liz, if you're watching, I really got what you meant when you were saying, like, I wish that never happened. And I think really what you were saying, I wish the human condition was in better shape so that things like that didn't happen. And I think, I can have empathy for that. It's just like, I think about Danny's daughter. I mean, sure, maybe it's great that he's in prison for the rest of his life, and maybe that'll be better for his daughter, but still, that little girl has to grow up without her father, his fault, and has to grow up reading and hearing about all these things, a lot of it on YouTube, about what a monster her father is. I mean, it's better that she knows it, but like, I don't particularly care about contributing further to that narrative. Yeah, you're right. That's my ADHD. Mitch, I'm going to practice right now. Mitch, you need to read the questions like that one asking you to read. You just answered it. Pretend you were on the radio. What's the radio? Okay, here you go. Last night was the first time I heard about Lou. Is their relationship well known? Yes, it should be better known. Mike Rinder wrote about it on his blog. Marty Rathman, when he was attacking the church, wrote about it. People have discussed it. I kind of tried to pick up the banner and turn it into a hashtag. Who is Lou? Who is the woman behind Shelley's disappearance? I mean, I think she played a bigger role in it than people know. So you want to know, is a relationship well done? Well, apparently not well enough, because everybody's heard of Shelley and nobody knows about Lou, but she is like, I've said it before. I think I said it last night, that you've got Miscavige banishing his wife to that mountain compound. But you've also got him, before he banished her, he took up with his assistant. And he also ordered that Lou divorce her dying husband. I mean, he hung on 12 years and then died, but it's a really seedy story. It's like real tabloid stuff. And yet all we hear about is, where's Shelley? Like she's banished to some mountain compound. It's a lot more than that. Okay, here I get more practice. Mitch, Elizabeth Moss. Did you ever meet her? I met her when she was 6 years old. I did a quote unquote PSA, an anti-psych PSA, and I needed a cute little girl, and somehow the casting department at Gold got Elizabeth Moss. So I could probably say that the first time she ever appeared professionally in front of camera was for me. I never talked to her or spoke with her after that. I know her parents. Casually, I know her parents. And I enjoyed very much watching her career grow over the years. She's a terrific actress. She's born in, she's like, Elizabeth Moss is in the bubble of bubbles. There's no more intense bubble than the one Elizabeth Moss lives in. Okay, what does this says? Mitch, if you've already answered this, sorry. Just wondering if you knew when there was a definitive point when you knew you were done. Yeah, there actually was. There was a tipping point. It's kind of complex to describe it. There was sort of the slow slide out, the slow train wreck out, which was complicated by the fact that I was older. I was aging out of my own career. I was making good money. I really knew no other structure. I knew no other structure or community. So that sort of kind of forced me to keep things in a box for much longer than I should have. And then COVID hit and lockdown happened, and I wasn't going to live at Gold. They were like, if you want to work here, you got to live here, because we're all going to do this cocoon thing, right? So I just went home and I took some writing assignments from them. I interacted a bit. And then somewhere along the line there, I just said, there's no good reason for me not to call Mike Rinder, who I really liked Mike a lot when he was there. I always enjoyed. He was one of the first executives I worked with when he was the, LRH PPRO, the Public Relations Officer International for L. Ron Hubbard. We always got along. I always thought he was just like this really bright guy who was like a total gentleman, and so well spoken, and I saw what happened to him. I knew what happened, even though I didn't know about the hole. I didn't know that Miscavige pulled him out of the hole and sent him to England to handle John, what's his face, from the BBC. I didn't know any of that, but I knew that Miscavige had sent him on one of these missions that were impossible to pull off. And Mike actually did pretty well handling him, but it wasn't good enough. And he basically said, well, a bunch of nasty things. He said, Mike, can go out and, I can't say it on YouTube. I'm practicing to be monetized, but he can go out and perform horrible sexual acts on men for money. And, Mike had had enough and he left. And I just knew that he had every good reason to escape. And I was just like, then he showed up with Marty and doing all that stuff. And I was always looking at this guy and I'm like, he was my friend. And it was very confusing, when they did the truth rundown because, anyway, it's a long story, but at the tipping point was really, I'm sure Mike would remember that I just called him up and I said, Mike, it's Mitch. And I ain't doing that shit anymore. And he was just like, he said, well, Mitch, I'm driving. I'm about to start driving. I'm going to be in my car for 3 hours. Let me call you back. So he called me out. We talked on the phone for 3 hours. And then I never met Christy, his wife, but then we spoke on the phone for about an hour and it was really great. And then all of a sudden people started calling me, like Jackson called me and told me this great story. I knew Jackson really well, but one thing I never knew was he had been ordered to put a security bubble around me when I went to Gold to make sure that the crew called me sir, called me Mr. Brisker, that nobody messed with me, that they didn't put any impediments in my way. And I never knew why they were so compliant. I was like, no, you can call me Mitch. And they'd be like, oh, like, I can't do that. Like, they didn't say that, but it was really, really bizarre. So yeah, there was that moment, but it was just like the last little toothpick. It wasn't like a big crashing moment because it had been building for so long. But I would say it was the moment I picked up my phone and I called Mike. It just, I just wanted to say hi. Hello, Denver Steve. Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about Vegan 3? Please clarify. Are you talking about Alan Hollander? Is that who you're talking about? Let us know because I had no idea. Denver, at Denver, Mitch is concerned that sleeping, streaming to gain hours is gaming the system. Can you reassure him? Yeah, please reassure me. I want to know about it. I don't want to be like, going through the review, the month review where they review your channel and then find out they're like, no, you were gaming the system. You were doing. Yeah, that's absolutely a correct statement. It's a great way to put it. It's like, I'm trying to think of a lyric. I think in song lyrics a lot. Sorry about that. It's that one of the Jackson Brown song, "Fountain of Sorrow" or something from the "Late for the Sky" album. One of the best albums ever made, in my opinion. It's something about when you see your lover and all of a sudden you see them in a very unflattering light. I forget the exact lyric, but he probably deserved a Pulitzer Prize more than Dylan did because his lyrics were amazing. Wow. So, wow, Alan Hollander's still in. That's crazy. Boy, that makes no sense to me at all. Crazy. Okay, so who's going to own up and give me the information about the sleep streaming? But I'm like so geeked out on this stuff. I would probably stay up all night just to to see who was actually sleeping on the. You know what I'm saying? Not watching. You can't say watching because they're actually sleeping. It's so humid. I don't have hair, so I can't say it's so humid I'm having a bad hair day. If you notice, my background is starting to get some drapey ripples in it. It's because of the humidity. I have to get some clips and pull it tight again because it's literally starting to curl up. The humidity is insane. I wonder what it is. I'm going to look it up. I'm not as fast as you guys. I might be old, but I'm slow. Okay. The hell is the humidity? Oh, it doesn't even say. I'll have to look somewhere else. No, it does say. It's not that bad. It's 70%. Oh no, that's chance of rain. It actually doesn't say what the humidity is because I guess we don't care about humidity in California. You know what they say? Everywhere in the country, when it gets wet, when it rains, people get wet. California, when it rains, they die, usually on the freeway. That's my dad joke for tonight. Okay, cool. Thanks for that. I believe it's only the replay hours that count for watch hours. So people watch live is a waste of time and not something YouTube would support. Really, I thought that live hours count towards the $4,000 that you need, but I'll check that out. Yeah, I may not be as lucky as you, Steve. So, but I'm going to check it out. Question: how bad was the weather for you today? Not bad. I'm in the foothills in Studio City, just slightly over the hills from the Hollywood Hills. I'm just right, like I can look out my kitchen window and see the traffic on Laurel Canyon Boulevard. Yes, the infamous Laurel Canyon Boulevard. But it's not bad. It's just like a rainy day, and we've had very little wind. So I think this thing is being, blown out of proportion a bit. Oh wow, Lancaster is flooding already. That's interesting. Um, yeah, they're pretty low, Lancaster. I mean, I'm up in the hills, so I mean, we're subject to mudslides and stuff. Where I live, it's kind of a douchey neighborhood, and it's just like they have it sort of terraced, and this the what do you call it? The drainage is really good. So. Okay. Somebody lives in the land. Okay, that I think the hours have to play. You can't fast forward and log hours for something. Yeah, I'm sure that that's true. But at least tonight when you go to bed, you can start one of my videos and just bail. You could start the longest one. I think that might have been the one I did with Jeff Levin, or the one I did with you guys last night. All of you wonderful people blew my mind. Jesus, there's some things that make life worth living. How about the community on YouTube? Never thought I'd be saying that. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Steve. Here we go. There it is. Live plus replay equals counted watch hours. This is, by the way, YouTube for Dummies. I should retitle this YouTube monetization for dummies. Here's from Jacqueline Leach. Fun story about gaming the system was an article in the London Review of Books by a guy in the Chinese Communist Party who puts the party courses on his computer, then leaves for a coffee shop. That's really funny. You gotta love those Chinese communists. Um, oh well, stay safe in Lancaster. I mean, it can flood pretty bad up there. It's definitely a flood area. Hey, here's something crazy that doesn't get talked about ever. Where people talk about the mudslides that happened at Gold, and back in 1990 in August when both Mark and Janice left, the famous mudslides that took out the G's where I was living. I was the first person to move in there, which they were getting them rented for VIPs, but mostly for Tom Cruise. But I moved in there first, and then when Tom was up there, we were like neighbors. But so get this: my late father, was an architect and very familiar with all of the geology of Southern California because of all of the earthquake engineering and technology that he had to learn. And when I told him where I worked, he went, "Oh, that place is in a 500-year flood zone, which means sometime within the next 500 years, it's going to be underwater." So anyway, um, Yeah, it's a little known fact. It is absolutely in a floodplain. Okay, here's from End of Trading. According to YouTube, live streams that aren't converted to video on demand content won't earn YouTube watch hours. So okay. So yeah, that's another good thing to know. But all of mine are being converted to video on demand, so I'm not worried about that. I no, this says End of Trading says so. It's the replays of live that count. I don't know that that's true because the first content I put up were videos, and I started getting watch hours just off of those before I did any live content. So unless I'm mistaking what you said, so Denver Stevo says the worst that could happen to you if you did Sleeping with Mitch would be your camera was running for several uncounted hours, but I don't believe it IDs an abuse YouTube cares about. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Um, so basically, what you're saying is I started a live stream and I just let it go. Like it just goes all night. Like just turn my camera on, walk away. Maybe I'll put like a big smiley face on the background, white tape or something. So when people log in, they'll be like, I'll be something there. Or what David Miscavige used to call pie face. This is a funny story. I was meeting with him one night while the midst of the whole was going on. All those horrible stories you hear about, musical chairs and all that stuff. And me and a woman I was working with who was a writer, who no longer works at Gold, a professional. I don't even know if she's still in Scientology. Dave and Lou were coming to meet us in the conference room, just not far from the hole. And the two of them came bopping in there. They were laughing. And they were making this. I'm looking around because I need a piece of paper. Hold on one second. Okay, so they were really in a super jovial mood, and they said they come from a meeting. I'm looking for a pen now. I'll grab one in a second. And they just come from a meeting, and they were explaining to us how the executives in the meeting were looking at them pie face. This is pie face. It's like straight line. And so he's like, let's see if I can really. And they were just all sitting around, nobody answering questions, and I'd seen this at meetings where people would just be like, they'd be afraid to answer because they'd be afraid they'd say the wrong thing. And I think one of the reasons why I never got in that much trouble is because I would always tell them the truth. I just didn't care. Kendra Phillips says, doing my best to help you with your hours, live in Toronto. So last night left you playing when I went to bed, caught up this morning. Great info. Thanks, Mitch. Wow, Kendra, thank you so much. You're a lifesaver. You guys are lifesavers for trying to help me out here. So, like when we did, some of you may have seen the Way to Happiness film, this thing we did. It's like 3 hours long. It's the Way to Happiness book put on film. And when it was supposed to be ready for an event and it wasn't going to make it, and there was a huge meeting. There was maybe 30 people piled into a conference room, and Dave was like, "So are we going to make this thing? Like, what's happening?" He wanted a progress report. Everybody in there was pie face right there, looking at him. I was going to draw what it looks like because basically, here, hold on one second. Okay, sorry to bounce around, but this is worth it. So yeah, we're at this meeting, and he says, "We're going to make it," and I said, "No, we're going to have to hire 4 editors, or we're not going to make it. We're going to have to go to LA, and we're going to have to hire 4 expensive film editors." And everybody in the room you could just hear their asshole slam shut. And he said, okay, go do it. You do it. And I did. And I hired editors and we finished. So I would always like just kind of, I was like, whatever I was kind of like that. So anyway, one night we were having this meeting and he comes in and he starts talking about this pie face thing. And he draws this on a piece of paper. And he says, yeah, they all look like this. All of the executives like expressionless. And then this became known as pie face at Gold. Okay, so what I found out, which is really astonishing, which I found out later, is the meeting he had just come from wasn't a meeting. He'd just come from brutally attacking the people in the hole. It could have been the night they did the musical Chairs. It could have been one of these other nights, but I didn't know the hole was going on. He referred to it as a meeting. I just came from a meeting with all the execs, and they are all looking at me like this. I mean, yeah, no shit. Anyway, when I started putting that stuff together later, I was like, whoa. So I don't want to be seeing any pie faces out there, If hold on, this is okay. Here we go. Oh, okay. Hold on. So, Mitch, I enjoy your content. Thank you very much. And fresh and unique perspective. Thank you very much. I strive to be not stale. That's for sure. Thank you for openly sharing. Okay, question. How were you received by your old friends when you first reach out to Mike and Jeff? Actually, I might have spoken with Jeff first. I said I called Mike. Jeff had Hawkins. We're talking about Jeff Hawkins. He had reached out to me on Facebook, and I never answered it because I was like, I'm not going to answer it because it's like I'm in, right? So I answered Jeff. I just sent a message. Like I just didn't care. I became friends with him on Facebook. I sent him a message. I sent him on Messenger. I sent him my number. We talked. He was like, so great to hear from you, blah, blah, blah. And he sent me a signed copy of his book. Amazing thing is, I worked with Jeff in that campaign. I was like, I did all the ads and had a lot to do with it. And I got more credit than I should have because Miscavige stopped giving credit to Jeff Hawkins. And then I continued working on the Donovan campaign for years after Jeff left. But when I read Jeff's book, I never, and this is, this is for you, Jeff. I never understood the level of detail and complexity and the genius with which that guy had configured that campaign, which in a few years had, the book went from selling 3 million copies to 13 million copies. I mean, he figured out how to get a 30-year-old book back on the 35, maybe back on the New York Times bestseller list, like honestly, without gaming the system. And, if Scientology was smart, they'd get a hold of Jeff's book and they would document it because he explains exactly how he did it. They'll never do that. And they've never been able to sell books like that again. So Jeff and I had a great conversation. We still talk. He's helping me prep my book. And Mike was just wonderful. I mean, Mike was like, oh my God, Mitch, you have so much power. He was going on this thing. And what he meant was, when he explained it to me this way, because of the work that I had done for the church in terms of building them up, he was basically suggesting, you could do that same thing against them. And that's, which is what I'm trying to do, which is kind of the power he's talking about is the power of being able to understand the message that you should deliver to people so they can really understand a situation. So, I try to stay away from some of the joking and body shaming. And it's, like if David Miscavige was 6 foot tall, he'd still be one of the world's biggest, meanest assholes. So it doesn't really matter. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I saw this note about, this is really a cool idea. Mitch Brisker, are all of your videos and lives in a single playlist so we can watch the playlist end to end, earning additional hours? No, but I mean, I do have a few playlists, but I'm going to put them all on there. and then maybe you could just go to sleep to it. So that would be awesome. That's genius. Okay, good. They need to put that end broadcast button in a harder to reach place because it's right next to where it says new chats. So kind of bizarre. Let me just back up a little, make sure I didn't. Okay, I think I got everything. Oh, here's a funny one. Thank you, Vegan3. Mitch talked about working with Donovan's kids. This crowd is too young to know, haha. Yeah, I don't feel old. I don't know. I checked my demographics. I've got like my crowd, my audience leans kind of older. Yeah, so Donovan, you never heard this Hurdy-Gurdy Man, the song Hurdy-Gurdy Man, or what were some of his other hits? Let me know in the chat. I saw him once at the Forum. He was a very, very odd character. He was, yeah, my dog, Catch Weston eating out of the garbage. Yeah, I have. Hey, Page Girl, better late than never. Page Girl says I'm late. I should have grabbed a Donovan song and just played you a little bit of it. So has anybody out there know his music? I mean, it's from the 60s here, probably like 68-ish. I'm not sure when he was really doing his thing. Hey Siri, when did Donovan release Hurdy-Gurdy Man? 1968. It was recorded in April 1968, released as a single a month later. Yeah, there you go. It was a big hit. It's very, very psychedelic. I don't know how else to describe it except as a psychedelic rock. He kind of, very psychedelic, very drug soaked. He didn't. His kids, who I work with, Donovan Jr. and Ione, who was Ione's guy, they didn't know him. I don't think they met him till they were like adults. I remember reading about the story, but I remember them really well. You probably can't hear this. It probably sounds horrible here. It ain't gonna work. What? You remember this? Can you hear that? Sounds like shit. Okay, well, a little background music, a little Donovan Hurdy-Gurdy Man. Okay, here's a question from Maryland. Did you watch any documentaries about other cults that helped you in your recovery? I don't think so. I don't think I did. I watched The Vow, which I thought was really well made. I thought it was too long. It was really tedious to get through, but it was fascinating. I think it could have been a shorter, but I mean, my takeaway was that Keith Raniere was just the laziest cult leader in the world. He just didn't ever get things well enough organized to protect himself. But you notice all the things in it, the little stupid things that he stole from Scientology. But I mean, he was just like nothing compared to people in Scientology. No offense to people in ex-Scn, but it was just like, because that was a horrible call. I think it might have helped a little bit, but I think for the most part, I can't really think. I mean, Leah Remini's show was a huge help, even though, as I said, I was like 90% out, but still, there's being out and then there's really kind of recovering. It's really like two different things. And I think hers was, it's such a testament. It was such a reckoning with the truth. It was impossible to not respond to it. Yeah, I'm going to turn my camera on and play fractals. For my camera's not. I'm streaming with the DSLR with the Nikon, and fortunately, I have a AC adapter. It's like a battery dummy AC adapter, and so the camera is not going to shut off or overheat or anything. So I guess what I could do is I could point the camera at my iMac and just play something continuous on there. Even the screensaver. How about that? I'll point it at the iMac, like just focus it on the iMac, and then just let the screensaver go, and then I can give it some snappy title, like you know, uh, you know, anyway, whatever. Oh, actually, the other thing is there's a TV station I just remembered. I think they're in Sweden, and they have a channel where all they do is they have like cameras, like one mounted in a train out the window, and the camera just records like 10 hours of traveling through the countryside. So I should find that channel and just put it, log into it on my iMac and then point the camera at that. And then, because I think that is legitimately a video. Like, join me on my journey across the Swedish countryside, right? But I'm definitely going to do I'm definitely going to do this playlist idea. This is genius. Okay, here's a question. What did it say? Denver Stevo, Mitch Brisker, are all your videos and lives in a single playlist? Oh, that I already asked. I already did that. I got really excited for nothing. I mean, again. Okay, so. Okay, okay. This is from Jacqueline Leach. I don't know if she's related to Donovan Leach. Leach was Donovan's last name, so you'll have to let us know. I mean, it's not an uncommon name. Okay, and also about Donovan, my music fascist big sister had Moody Blues on long play. I won't get into the rest as she evolved. Donovan didn't have a chance in our house. I understand. I know what you mean by. I've known a few music fascists. Yeah, they're music Nazis. It's just like that's what they are. The only music that matters is their music. Is this for me? Oh, is this for me? Jessica, we're having an online affair. I'm having an online affair with Jessica. She has a crush on me and I'm crushing her back. And so now she wants me to she said, wear a body cam and show us your daily out and about. I don't go out. Like literally, I'm like totally agoraphobic. I like take my dog to the dog park occasionally, but like I don't even go out that much. Yeah, I'm wondering if I can buy some pirated body cam footage that I can use to impress Jessica. Oh well. For you, I might go out. So, but it's a good idea. I think I'd be too concerned with things like exposure and lighting to just walk around with a body cam. Or I could just say, you first, Jessica. So. Okay, great response, Jessica. Absolutely. I love it. I don't either. It's fun watching people do boring things. Yeah, I guess it can be. I know sometimes when I was having a rough time writing, I would go I'm not even going to show that, Jessica. She's like her messages are trending. They're trending in a certain direction. I'm blushing. Um, I would go to public places, like where you could sit down and, like I guess everybody does that at Starbucks today. At least in LA, there's all these kids at Starbucks, young people with computers, and they're all writing screenplays, and it's just hysterically funny. But I used to go to places like, the farmer's market or, Union Station, and kind of immerse yourself in the random boredom of life, noisy life. And it would be easier. I found it was easier to write things doing that because, you'd forget how maybe your dialogue would start becoming inauthentic. And so you'd listen to somebody having a conversation. Oh yeah, that's what people talk like. It's kind of like, I don't think I'm the only person that's done that, but no, please don't leave. Please. I need you. Don't leave. Uh, Donovan is from, here's Jacqueline Leach. Well, you know a lot about him. Are you sure you're not related, Jacqueline? Donovan is from Inverness. My family is from Inverness, but moved to Ontario, Canada in the early mid 1800s. Ross Glen, if we're related, it is several cousins removed, but it's highly possible. So he's from Inverness. Are you saying he's Canadian? I thought he was British. I'm really confused. Oh, man. Okay. Hey, Siri, where's Donovan Leach from? He's from London. So I'm not, is there an Inverness in Great Britain? Maybe I'm just confused about that because I'm thinking of Inverness, America, and there probably is an Inverness. Oh, now I'm pissed. I thought you were single, Mitch. And hold on a second. Hold on. Okay. Tassie Devil says, "Oh, now I'm pissed. I thought you were single, Mitch, and keen to come to Australia." I am. Both of those things are true. I am single, and I am very keen to come to Australia. Uh, it's an agoraphobic's dream to go halfway around the world. So, but somehow I'm going to make it happen. Okay, nice. Oh, I see. Donovan is from Inverness, Scotland. And now that you mention it, I remember he's Scottish, but there's at least two places in America called Inverness. So I got confused. So your family is also from that area, so you could be related. I'm assuming Leach is kind of a Scottish British name. Oh, and there's an Inverness. Patty B just pointed out there's an Inverness in British Columbia, which of course makes sense because hey, there's a Moscow in Idaho, there's a Paris, Texas. You know, America didn't come up with a lot of fresh things. Patty B says we all own him. If you're talking about me, you're right. You do. I can't. I can't deny that. So, okay, good. So there you go. We've had a really an interesting talk. I'm going to have to get off in a little bit, but I hate leaving you guys because you're like such a great group to be with in a room alone. One of my early observations about the internet, and my generation, we, even though we sort of invented cell phones and smartphones and the internet and PCs and all that, we still immigrated into the world of that technology, where a lot of you, my kids and even older and younger, you're naturalized citizens in a world that people my age immigrated into, and now I've lost my train of thought completely. Um, so yeah, So yeah, so I remember. So in the early days of the internet, people were saying that the internet was going to reconnect the world and bring everybody together. But I thought it was so strange that in order to be reconnected, you had to go into a dark room all by yourself and log on. So I like, you're a great group to be alone with in a darkened room. I mean, I'm in a darkened room, except for the little light, one single light that's shining on me. Uh, okay, so Google says, Professor Google says that Donovan was born in Glasgow. So it's all for naught. Sorry, Jacqueline. We were all, I don't know. You never know. The genetics are a funny thing. You could absolutely still be related to him. So now I'm just here for the watch hours. Did I tell you guys that? I don't give a crap about you all. I'm just here for the watch hours. No, that's absolutely not true. Uh, okay. Thank you. Love you too. Like, so, okay, cool. I'm still working the bugs out. I mean, my setup, last night I was streaming on a really fast late model iMac, and that's now sitting on the floor because my whole system went to crap, like I told you, and I had to pull everything apart and reassemble it. I got out my an old 10-year-old MacBook Pro, which had everything every bell and whistle you could add to it on it, and it seems to be streaming okay. I'm streaming it at 720p, even though I'm recording at 1080p, but the goddamn StreamYard, you got to pay them an extra $10 a month if you want to stream in full 1080p. So, but this is looking pretty good. None of you guys are complaining about it. But that's because I have a honking piece of glass, a beautiful lens that's focused on me, and the focus is very narrow. You can see like now my pie face is in focus. Here it's out of focus, and here it's out of focus. So the focus just goes from just where my head is, which actually makes things look better. You photographers will understand it, and you other non-photographers just learn something. And that's my TED Talk for tonight, or my piece of philosophy cake, one or the other. Okay, here we go. What does this say? So everyone, are we thinking about the name for Mitch followers? Mitch, it's a thing. Okay, that's not bad. I would like to suggest Mitch rhymes with the Mitch's bitches. only, be, I'm sorry. Only because I grew up with, Mitch the bitch or Twitchell, because my name's Mitchell, but Twitchell, Mitch the bitch. My last name is Briskers, so it was Bitch Brisker. I got that a lot. But if we're going to vote, I would go for Mitch's bitches because I think that's, I think that's, even though I'm more your bitch, but so there you go. I'm going to need to iron my backdrop from all this humidity. Can you see here? There's these, well, I can't point to them, but if you, like there's you can see there's sort of some kind of a wavy ripples. You can see one there. You see that here? Let me lean out of the way. Over on the right, over on the left side of the screen, it's a little wavy, and then on the right side, there's a shadow because it's actually starting to ripple from the humidities. What do we got here? Okay, so I got a vote for Mitch's bitches, Goldies. She's throwing her 2 cents on her 2 cents onto the Mitch's bitches wagon. But it's like there's good bitches, right? Briskies, friskies. That's not bad. Patty B said briskies, friskies. my younger son, who is a professional film editor, is a very talented guy. He is also a brewmaster. He learned how to make beer, and he loves making beer. And he has a label that he made up. I think he might be on Instagram under Briskies Brewskis. So anyway, it's kind of like Briskies Friskies, Briskies Brewskis. Oh, I don't get a vote. Tessie Devil says, I don't get a vote. Okay, I'm backing off. No votes for Mitch. Yeah, you're right. The ripples, you're right. Peace and Love said, I like the ripples. It gives more depth. You're right. It gives it a kind of a drapey feeling. I think it's because I'm a little unaccustomed to it, but you're absolutely right. It does. It actually makes it a little less Rembrandt-y and a little more classical. Because the lighting, the background I was going for is it's like a Rembrandt painting. If you Google, Rembrandt, you'll immediately see a couple pieces of art with have these very rich brown textures, and then the lighting is Rembrandt, which means it's just kind of it's from one side directional, it's soft, and then you can see on my off light side, there's my it doesn't really show with my glasses, but you see there's a triangle of light under my eye. There's this spot of light. So that's called classic Rembrandt lighting, which is what I was going for, because it just makes me look like Mike Ehrmantraut on Breaking Bad. I'm the Jewish version of Mike Ehrmantraut, or so one of my kids tells me. Okay, hold on, dog. You need to get away from there. Come on, come here. Come on, come here, come here, come here. He's pulled my tripod over yesterday. He pulled over my whole rig. He got scared. He went and he's back there now, and I'm kind of freaking out. Hey, Weston, come here. Come on, I'll give you a treat. Come here. Come here. I got treats for you. Look, I got treats. Yeah, here. Check this out. Go over there and fetch your treat. Go. Go get it. Go get it. Yeah, it's over there. It's over there. Okay, good. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I'm the Jewish Mike Ehrmantraut. Do you guys know who I mean? The guy on Mike, the guy on Breaking Bad, on Better Call Saul. So, and by the way, this look is easy to get. I sent Denver Steve a whole email on how to get a look like this. It's actually really easy. You just need to know how to do it. Okay, we got another vote for bitches. I can't. I remain silent. Yeah, Goldie's a genius. She said that before I did. I know, Goldie, you're like, man, you are like firing on all cylinders. I don't even know how you do it. Yeah, Donna, I completely agree. Haven't minded being called a bitch for years, and being a little frisky can be fun. Absolutely. Meant in all good fun. Okay, Goldie says, yeah, Mitch, we decided our people will get with your people once we decide. So Goldie's making the little motion picture industry inside joke. Very funny, Goldie. Okay, simply the Mitchies. You can vote on that one. No comment. Okay, I'm about to lose a hard drive. Hey, Wesley, come over here. Come on, come on over here. I mean, literally, he pulled my tripod over yesterday. I saw my camera, and I have an iPad attached to the hot shoe of my camera. So if I look at the camera, I have a monitor right above the camera, but I'm trying not to look at it too much. Dude, he's getting a little antsy. Okay, so Amy Jean says we wouldn't know there was anything wrong with your background if you didn't say anything. I'm not even saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's kind of it surprised me that it started to pucker a bit because of the the humidity is like that intense. Yeah, peace and love. It is puppy time. You want? I got a bag of treats. I'll just keep tossing them out. He'll be fine. Hey, bud. Here's more treats for you. What would we do without dog treats? Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Leslie. The difference, the depth of color. I should have loaded up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I have some close-ups that I took that I didn't use. I was going to use them in that video about the backdrop, but I actually took some close-ups with my phone, like 2 inches, 3 inches from the backdrop, so you can really see the detail. And it's really mind-blowing because I don't know if you're familiar with the painting technique called pointillism, where like there was a guy named George Seurat, a French painter, and like when you get close to the painting, all you can see are dots. And then as you back away, the detail, the scene emerges from the dots. And this backdrop is very much like pointillism because up close, it's a very coarse series of splattered dots that are about 20 different colors, mostly brown hues, but there's like verdigris, blue, yellow. There's some metallic, like there's copper paint. There's some actually metallic automotive paints mixed in there, and and some like turquoise blue, and it's really amazing when you see it close up. So I'll load up some photos of it and show you guys that next time. I don't have them handy. Da, 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 da. Yep. Anyway, I will definitely do that. Got some new comments here. Let's take a look. Yeah, if the humidity, Vegan 3 says the humidity is frizzing my do, he. Okay. If it is, and I don't even have hair, it's like that bad. Come on, Weston, chill, babe. You're just jealous because you're not up here on camera. I'm gonna have to get a chair for Weston so he can just. What's her name? Relatable Reese. She's always like holding a cat or a dog or something. So, here's another comment. Yes, very cool. Familiar with it. I'm not sure. Oh, that's. I missed the meaning on that. We need to, Tassie says, we need to love and live with this channel a bit longer. Our name will reveal itself. I think you're right, Tassie. It is one of those things like if you just stay with the vibe long enough, like it'll emerge, like you'll channel it. So, but I'm kind of thinking what we're going to have to do. Wow, I don't know this one. Backdrop Cowboys from Jacqueline Leach says. Backdrop Cowboys from Margaret Atwood's title of poem, Backdrop Addresses Cowboy. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out. Yes, show the puppy. He's not here. Weston, you want to come up here? Come on up. Here, come here. I think he'll come up for a treat. There you go, pup. There he is. Now that's a camera, and there's people up there. Let me just raise you up a little bit more. Oh, wow, there you are. How about that? Yeah, beagles, they don't like to be held. They're like, what are you doing? Dad, let me down. Okay, I'm gonna let you down. Okay, puppy, you go. Yes, so that's the Weston. He needs a bath. He stinks, probably because I walked him in the rain today, and nothing brings out the fresh smell of pungent dog other than I think, isn't that a term, wet dog? Isn't there like I was smelling like a wet dog? I mean, at least that's pretty descriptive. Okay, here's an interesting one. I can't resist that. I'm sure you've been asked before, do you like Citizen Kane? I tell you, to be honest, I've grown less fond of it over the years. I mean, we still consider it, it's still considered like the greatest movie ever made. And there's a really good lot of reasons to say that. So I think my opinion is shifting from appreciating it, from liking it to appreciating it. I watched it not too long ago. I watched like whatever the 50th anniversary or 75th, I think it was, anniversary, the one that they restored. And it's an amazing film contextually because there's so much storytelling technique and cinematographic technique that was never existed before that film. There was like the use of ceilings. I don't know, a lot of you probably know about this stuff, but they didn't used to shoot a lot of ceilings because they didn't make ceilings on sets, partially because they used such big hot lights. They needed to not have a ceiling so they get to get the lights in there. And Orson Welles, which a lot of people don't know, he was only 24 when he did the film, and it was the first film that he ever did. And he insisted on shooting low angles, so looking up at the ceiling, the camera would see the ceiling. And everybody was like, no, we don't have a ceiling. And he's like, put a ceiling on it. So he and the cameraman, Orson Welles was really lucky because he had a guy named Greg Toland who shot the film. And when Orson Welles first came to do the film, he assembled a crew, and he told Greg Toland, who was a noted cinematographer, he told him, look, I don't know anything about making films. And Greg Toland said, I can teach you everything you need to know in 2 weeks. I mean, how lucky was he to have somebody like that instead of somebody who was going to say, oh, you've never made a film. What are we going to do with you? So yeah, he was really lucky, and they were a great team. And if you haven't seen Mank, about Joseph Mankiewicz, who wrote the film, and it's about the making of the film. Amazing film. I think it's the best thing David Fincher's ever done. Oh, Jessica, you have a beagle named Apple? That is a term. Her name is Apple. Oh, so unfortunately, my dog has been neutered, so we could breed. So I mean our dogs, right? That's what I mean. But you're hungry. He's kind of hungry. Okay, I need to watch hours, but I'm going to have to wrap it up now. I love you guys. This has been great. Again, if you continue to leave questions, I'll load them up for the next stream, and I'll keep answering it. So I'm going to say good night so that I can take Weston out, and we can have a nice walk in the rain. So thank you guys again, and be well, and don't forget to take care of each other. Good night. It's okay, puppy. I'm coming.